What if you could take like the raw power of a dragon, right?
Right.
Or the cunning of a mind flayer, or even the sheer weirdness of a gelatinous cube,
Oh, yeah.
and you could smash them all together.
Okay.
What kind of creature would come out of that
No.
chaotic cauldron of
You're
creation?
just speaking my language here.
Right.
I actually got a little taste of that chaos in my last D&D session.
Oh.
Picture this. We're in this dark forest, tensely tracking this owl bear.
Classic D&D.
Classic D&D, right?
Yeah.
But this owl bear, it was phasing in and out of reality, like teleporting around.
What?
Yeah. So turns out it wasn't just an owl bear. It was a hybrid mixed with a displacer beast.
Whoa. Okay.
Total curveball we were scrambling to adjust.
That is definitely not in the monster manual.
Yeah, no.
A teleporting owl bear.
Nope.
That actually perfectly sets the stage for today's deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to explore this amazing world of hybrid monsters in D&D.
Awesome.
All thanks to some really fascinating articles you sent my way.
Yeah, and you know what's so cool about these hybrids is they're more than just a stat block with extra teeth.
Right.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible in a D&D world.
Yeah.
A clever dungeon master can use them to throw even seasoned players off balance.
Right.
Making them rethink their strategies completely.
I can see that, like, you think you've got a creature figured out, and then bam,
Yes.
it hits you with some unexpected ability.
Exactly.
Like suddenly it can drain your mind while it's trying to claw your face off at the same time.
Exactly. That element of surprise is huge for keeping things fresh.
Yeah.
Especially for players who've seen it all.
Right.
But it's not just about making things tougher.
Okay.
Hybrids can also add this incredible depth to a campaign's themes.
Okay.
Let's say your story revolves around magical corruption spreading through the land. A DM could create a chimera, which is already this chaotic mix of different animals,
Right.
but then infuse it with raw elemental chaos, like a visual representation of that corruption taking physical form.
Whoa. Okay, I'm getting chills just imagining that.
Yeah.
So the monster becomes more than just a monster. It's like this walking, roaring embodiment of the story itself.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's taking something players think they know
Right.
and twisting it, which
Yeah.
makes them pay attention in a whole new way.
Makes sense.
But of course, with all this power comes the responsibility of, not making the game unfair.
Right. We got to talk about balance.
Yes.
You can't just throw a god-level hybrid at a group of level 2 adventurers
Right.
and expect them to have fun.
Exactly. It's a delicate dance.
Yeah.
A good dungeon master considers the hybrid's role in the game.
Okay.
Are they a mini-boss? Are they a recurring villain?
Right.
Are they a puzzle to be solved rather than defeated?
Yeah.
Then they adjust the stats accordingly.
Great.
Hit points, damage, how hard it is for players to resist their special abilities.
Yeah.
All of that needs to be carefully tuned. So it's challenging, but not a guaranteed TPK.
Kill.
Total party kill for those new to D&D.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of challenging,
Yes.
in one of these articles you sent,
Okay.
there's this example of a gelatinous cube and a mimic combined.
Oh, yeah.
And at first I was like,
Right.
that seems simple enough.
Deceptively simple.
Right.
I mean, you've got the cube's engulfing ability
Mm-hmm.
and the mimic's adhesive quality.
Okay.
It might not be the flashiest hybrid,
Yeah.
but imagine walking into a room thinking you're dealing with just a mimic
Right.
or a cube,
Yeah.
only to get stuck in this gooey, inescapable trap that's also trying to digest you.
Okay. Yeah. Suddenly that combo is way more terrifying than I first thought.
Yeah.
And that article has so many more crazy combinations.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of people are fascinated by this owl bear displacer beast,
Right.
the one you encountered.
It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Trying to fight something that keeps teleporting away is bad enough.
Yeah.
But when that something also has the raw strength of an owl bear,
Oh, yeah.
well, let's just say you better have some backup plans.
And then you've got the heavy hitters,
Yes.
the ones that just scream epic boss fight,
Oh, yeah.
like the dragon beholder hybrid.
Oh, that's pure nightmare fuel.
Right.
The brute force of a dragon combined with the beholder's anti-magic cone that just shuts down spells.
Oh, wow.
It's like fighting a flying fortress that can also turn your magic against you.
Right.
The article even describes it as being able to dominate the sky, which is
Yeah.
pretty intense imagery.
Definitely not a fight you'd walk into unprepared.
No.
But what about those hybrids that are less about brute force and more about, like, messing with your mind?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of the mind flayer vampire hybrid.
Oh, that one is deliciously creepy.
Yeah.
It taps into that classic vampire archetype, but with a horrifying mind flayer twist.
Right.
Imagine this creature oozing with seductive charm, promising power, maybe even whispering secrets into your mind, while also craving your blood.
Oh, wow.
It's the ultimate predator preying on both your body and your soul.
And the article described it as having this seductive yet dangerous nature, which I think is spot on.
Yes.
It's like the monster itself is a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
And that makes it even more unsettling.
It does.
We're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many more intriguing combinations to explore.
We've got necromancers with a seductive twist.
Okay.
Metal-eating basilisks.
What?
We haven't even touched upon the creature that's basically a walking natural disaster.
Okay, you got to tell me more about that one.
Oh, get ready for this. We're talking Kraken Rock, A&D Storm Elemental, all rolled into one.
Whoa.
This thing controls the sky and the weather itself.
Okay.
The article calls it the tempestuous Leviathan.
Oh my gosh.
And it's basically a force of nature given monstrous form.
Wow.
It could be the focus of an entire campaign. That's how epic it is.
Okay, so we've got all these awesome examples.
Right.
But I think our listeners are probably wondering, like, how do I actually create one of these things?
Okay.
These articles you gave me, they're all about building a mashup.
Yes.
Where do we even begin?
Well, it all starts with a solid foundation.
Okay.
You choose your base monsters.
Seems obvious enough.
It sounds obvious.
Yeah.
But it's not just about picking two cool creatures and slapping them together.
Right. There's got to be some method to the madness.
Exactly. Think about creatures that complement each other.
Okay.
Either thematically or mechanically.
Okay.
Take the Lich and the Succubus.
Yep.
You've got the spell-casting power and undeath theme of the Lich, combined with the seduction and manipulation of the Succubus.
Right.
It's a match made in, well, maybe not heaven,
Yeah.
but definitely somewhere interesting.
So it's about finding that synergy.
Yes.
That spark that makes the combination greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And once you have your base monsters,
Okay.
it's time to start thinking about the mechanics, combining stats and abilities.
All right.
This is where you really get to flex those creative muscles.
So could I take, say, a Hydra with all its multiple heads
Okay.
and give each head the mind-draining powers of an intellect devourer?
That's a fantastic example.
Oh, okay.
You're taking two distinct abilities and merging them into something new and utterly terrifying.
Right.
Imagine the strategic chaos of facing a Hydra.
Yeah.
But with the added threat of losing your mind with each bite.
Okay. Yeah, that's a boss fight.
Yeah.
I would need some serious brain power to survive.
Yes.
But I imagine it can get pretty complicated making all those abilities work together seamlessly.
It definitely takes careful consideration. It's like building a machine. You want each part to function smoothly with the others.
Right.
Otherwise, you've just got a pile of spare parts, not a working monster.
And we want a working monster.
Yes, we want a working monster.
Right.
You don't want to just throw abilities together without thinking about how they interact.
So it's not just about making a creature powerful, it's about making it believable.
Yes.
Making it feel like a real entity that could exist in your game world.
Exactly. And with great power comes, well, the need for some weaknesses.
Right.
Even the most terrifying hybrid
Yeah.
needs some vulnerabilities to keep things fair and exciting.
Right. We can't have invincible monsters running around.
No.
Where's the fun in that?
Think about what makes sense for your hybrid.
Okay.
Maybe it's vulnerable to a specific type of damage, a certain magical item,
Sure.
or even a particular environment.
Interesting.
If we're talking about that Phoenix Troll hybrid,
Okay.
maybe despite its regenerative fire,
Yeah.
it's extremely vulnerable to cold,
Right.
like the icy breath of a frost giant.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
It's a classic elemental counter.
it is.
And it immediately gives the players a potential strategy.
Right.
But we're not just building stat blocks here.
No, we're not.
We're talking about creatures that inhabit a living, breathing world,
Exactly.
which means they need
Personality.
a backstory.
Right.
Why was this creature created?
Yeah.
What are its goals?
Is it driven by rage, a desire for revenge, or maybe even a twisted sense of duty?
Right.
For instance, maybe that Medusa dragon hybrid we mentioned was once a noble dragon,
Okay.
tricked and transformed by a jealous sorcerer,
Oh.
and now seeks to break the spell, even if it means wreaking havoc in the process.
So we're not just dealing with monsters, we're dealing with characters,
Exactly.
each with their own motivations and complexities.
Yes.
And that, I think, is what elevates a simple encounter to something truly memorable.
Exactly. The monster is a puzzle to be solved,
Mm-hmm.
a story waiting to be told.
Okay, so we've built our creature. It's got stats, weaknesses, a
Right.
personality.
Right.
Final step.
Integration.
Integration.
How are we going to actually use this hybrid in our campaign?
Okay.
It can't just be a random encounter, right?
Right. It's got to have a purpose, a place in the world.
Think about how you can use this hybrid as more than just a mindless beast to be slain.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a recurring villain,
Okay.
the guardian of a sacred place, or even a key figure in a prophecy.
Interesting.
That mind flayer vampire
Right.
could be the leader of a secret cult
Yeah.
trying to corrupt the city from within.
Okay, now we're talking.
Right.
The hybrid becomes this integral part of the story.
Yes.
Driving the narrative forward.
And that's where things get really exciting.
Yeah.
You're not just creating a monster, you're creating a story element that can enrich your entire campaign.
This is blowing my mind.
It's a lot to take in.
And I have a feeling there are even more advanced techniques for creating hybrids.
Oh, yeah.
Things that really push the boundary.
Oh, you have no idea.
Like what?
We haven't even talked about combining 3 or more monsters.
Oh my gosh.
Or those legendary actions.
Yeah.
Which give boss-level hybrids even more tricks up their sleeves.
Okay, hold on. We've got a lot more ground to cover.
We do.
But before we get too deep into those advanced techniques,
Okay.
let's take a breather and really unpack what makes these hybrids so compelling. Not just mechanically, but from a storytelling perspective.
Let's do it. We've been geeking out over stats and abilities, but you're right, there's a whole other layer to these hybrids.
Yeah.
Their narrative potential. It's not just about, oh, cool, this thing has 10 heads and can shoot lasers.
Right.
But about why does it have those heads? What does it want? How does that tie into my world?
So we're talking about turning a monster into a story element.
Exactly.
Is there a specific example from these articles that really showcases that idea?
Well, that Medusa dragon hybrid we keep coming back to.
Okay, yeah.
It could be more than just a cursed creature.
Right.
What if it was once a powerful, benevolent dragon,
Okay.
tricked and transformed by a jealous sorcerer? Now it's this twisted creature still possessing fragments of its former nobility,
Right.
struggling to break the curse, but also tempted by the power its new form grants.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Right.
It becomes more than just a fight.
Exactly.
Do the players kill it, potentially dooming it to this cursed existence? Or do they try to help it break the curse?
Yeah.
Maybe even teaming up with this monstrous creature.
That's a good point.
That's way more engaging than just rolling dice to see who wins.
Exactly, and that's what makes D&D so much more than just a game.
Right.
It's a platform for collaborative storytelling, where a good dungeon master weaves these threads of mythology, character motivations, and even moral dilemmas into the very fabric of the world.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's ramp up the complexity a bit.
Okay.
We've talked about 2 creature hybrids.
Yeah.
What about those insane 3-in-1 combos?
Oh, yeah.
Like that tempestuous Leviathan you mentioned.
Yes.
The Kraken Rockstorm Elemental mix.
Oh, yeah.
How would a DM even begin to design something that epic?
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
But the core principles are the same.
Yeah.
You choose your base monsters.
Right.
Making sure their themes mesh in a way that's interesting, not just random.
Right.
Then you combine the mechanics, but you're doing it on a grander scale.
So it's not just addition like rock plus Kraken equals bigger bird with tentacles.
Right.
You have to think about how each creature's abilities interact, amplify, maybe even conflict with each other.
Right. And when you're dealing with something this powerful, it's even more crucial to consider its role in the story.
Okay.
Is this Leviathan a world-ending threat?
Right.
Or is it maybe a powerful guardian protecting some ancient city,
Oh,
only lashing out at those who trespass?
interesting.
Suddenly that creature isn't just a stat block, it's a force with a purpose, a history.
Right.
Maybe the players need to convince it to help them.
Okay.
Or maybe they need to overcome it to reach what it's guarding.
Okay, I'm seeing how this goes way beyond just here's a big monster, hit it until it dies.
It does.
They're basically creating a mini campaign around this single creature.
You could?
But even with a super powerful creature like that,
Yeah.
there has to be some way for the players to interact with it, right?
Of course.
Not just through brute force.
Absolutely. And that's where those legendary actions come in. They're like bonus actions specifically for boss level creatures,
Right.
giving them extra ways to mess with the player's plans even when it's not their turn in combat.
So if I had that Owlbear Displacer Beast hybrid,
Okay.
and I wanted to make it a really challenging boss,
You could give it a legendary action that lets it teleport a short distance as a reaction to being attacked.
okay.
So just when the players think they've got it cornered, poof,
Oh, wow.
it's somewhere else flanking them, disrupting their formations.
Oh, that's devious.
Yeah.
And it perfectly plays into that hybrid's theme of disorientation and unpredictability.
Exactly.
So legendary actions, they're about upping the tactical complexity.
Yes.
Making those boss fights feel truly epic, not just a slugfest.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that legendary actions aren't just limited to movement or attacks.
Right.
They can be tailored to the hybrid's specific abilities.
Okay.
Maybe that Medusa dragon can use a legendary action to petrify someone with a glance, even if it's already used its normal actions that turn.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a mad scientist myself, cooking up these combos.
It's fun.
But there must be even more ways to push the boundaries, right?
Oh, there are. We haven't even touched upon template layering.
Template layering.
Think of it as stacking abilities.
Okay.
Let's say you start with a basic ogre, tough but not terribly interesting.
Right.
Now add the vampire template.
Okay.
It gains blood drain, undead resilience, maybe some charm abilities.
Right.
Then layer on the werewolf template.
Yeah.
Now it's got a bestial fury enhanced senses and can transform under the full moon.
Wow.
Suddenly you've got a creature that's greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay, whoa, that's a lot to process.
It is.
It's like turning a basic monster into a walking multi-tool of mayhem.
It is.
But wouldn't that be crazy overpowered?
It's definitely a balancing act.
Yeah.
The key is to consider how these templates interact, not just pile them on randomly.
Okay.
Maybe this ogre vampire werewolf has conflicting urges.
Oh, interesting.
The vampire craves blood. The werewolf hungers for flesh, and the base ogre just wants to smash things.
Right.
That internal conflict could be a weakness the players can exploit.
Okay, I'm seeing how these advanced techniques really push the boundaries.
They do.
It's not just about creating powerful creatures, but about creating interesting ones.
Yes.
With depth and complexity.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the importance of, well, not breaking the game.
Right.
No matter how cool a hybrid is, if it's so overpowered that it's no fun to fight, it defeats the purpose.
Right. It's got to be challenging, but fair.
Exactly.
And speaking of challenges, visuals matter.
Absolutely. A creature's appearance should reflect its nature, its themes.
Right.
Think about that intellect devourer Hydra.
Okay.
You wouldn't just stick tiny brains on a regular Hydra's heads.
No.
You'd want something grotesque, unsettling.
Okay.
Maybe those heads are partially flayed.
Oh, yeah.
Exposed brains pulsating.
Oh, gosh.
Each one a miniature intellect devourer.
Right.
Ready to leap out and burrow into a victim's skull.
Okay, I officially have chills.
Good.
That's the stuff of nightmares and exactly the kind of visual that would stick with players long after the session is over.
Yes.
But it's not just about being scary or gross.
Right. No, it's about evoking a feeling, a sense of wonder, dread, maybe even a bit of dark humor.
Right.
Remember, a well-crafted hybrid should be memorable. Something players talk about, draw fan art of.
Yeah.
Maybe even use as inspiration for their own character backstories.
I'm already getting ideas. This has been such an eye-opener.
Me too.
We've gone from basic concepts to some seriously advanced techniques.
We have.
But before we dive into even more craziness,
Yeah.
I think it's time we shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the how of creating hybrids.
Right.
But let's explore the why a bit deeper.
Okay.
Not just in terms of gameplay, but in terms of storytelling symbolism.
Yeah,
Okay, take us there. We've been on this incredible journey exploring the nuts and bolts of creating hybrid monsters. But I think what's really resonating with me is this idea that these creatures are so much more than just stat blocks and dice rolls.
Yeah, it's like we're tapping into this primal fascination with the unknown, with the idea of pushing the boundaries of creation.
Right.
Hybrids, they embody that what if question, you know, that the spark of imagination that asks, what happens when we combine the familiar with the strange, the beautiful, with the grotesque?
And I think that's what makes them so compelling for both Dungeon Masters and D players.
Absolutely.
It's not just about fighting something with a lot of hit points.
Right.
It's about facing a creature that challenges your perceptions of what's possible in a fantasy world.
I agree. Think about some of the examples we've discussed.
Yeah.
The owlbear displacer bees blending the mundane with the unsettlingly ethereal.
Right.
Or the dragon beholder, this apex predator that defies categorization.
Yeah.
Each one of these hybrids tells a story not just through its stats, but through its very existence.
And those stories can be woven into the campaign in so many ways.
Oh, so many.
A well-placed hybrid can be like a turning point in the narrative,
Absolutely.
forcing the players to rethink their strategies, their alliances, even their understanding of the world they inhabit.
Imagine a group of adventurers who've been battling hordes of undead led by a powerful lich.
Okay.
They think they know what to expect.
Right.
Necromancy, skeletons, maybe some spooky spells.
Classic lich stuff.
But then the lich reveals its true form. It's a hybrid, infused with the essence of a succubus.
Oh, wow.
Suddenly, the battle isn't just about brute force.
Right.
It's about temptation manipulation, the heroes questioning who they can trust.
Wow. Yeah, that adds a whole new layer of complexity to the encounter.
It does.
It's not just about swinging swords anymore. It's about resisting those seductive whispers.
Right.
Those promises of power that might corrupt even the most stalwart hero.
Exactly. The hybrid becomes a catalyst for internal conflict, forcing the players to make difficult choices that have real consequences, both for their characters and the story itself.
And that's what I love about D&D.
Me too.
It's a game where even the most outlandish creatures can have profound meaning.
Yeah.
Where a monster can be a symbol, a metaphor, a reflection of the player's own struggles and desires.
And let's not forget the role of the players in all of this.
Right.
They're not just passive recipients of the Dungeon Master's creations.
Yeah.
They're active participants in shaping the narrative.
Right.
How they react to a hybrid, how they choose to fight it or negotiate with it or even befriend it.
Right.
That all becomes part of the story.
It's a reminder that D&D is at its core a collaborative storytelling experience.
It is.
The Dungeon Master sets the stage, populates it with challenges and wonders, but it's the players who breathe life into the world who make it their own through their choices and actions.
And when those actions involve facing down a creature that's half dragon, half beholder, spitting fire and disintegrating spells, well, that's a story you're not likely to forget.
Speaking of unforgettable stories, we have to give a shout out to LitRPG Reads and the amazing work of Paul Bello.
Yes, they've been a great resource.
They've been an incredible resource for us in exploring the world of hybrid monsters and the boundless possibilities of D&D.
Their insights have been invaluable, and they're a constant reminder that the only limit to what we can create in this game is our own imagination.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this feeling of awe, this sense that we've only just scratched the surface of what's possible with hybrid monsters.
There are so many combinations yet to be explored, so many stories waiting to be told. The chaotic cauldron of creation is bubbling over with possibilities, and it's up to us as dungeon masters and players to stir the pot and see what emerges.
And that, I think, is the most exciting part of it all.
It is.
The journey of discovery never truly ends.
So tell us, what monstrous mashups are you dreaming up? What combinations would make you tremble in your boots or leave you staring in bewildered wonder?
Yeah. Share your most epic hybrid creations in the comments below.
We'd love to hear them.
We can't wait to see what your imaginations conjure up.
Until next time.
Until next time, happy gaming.